Welcome to Love and Lattes, the podcast designed for women who are ready to stop settling and start living a life full of authentic love, confidence, and real connection. I'm your host, Victoria, the self-love scientist, speaker, and coach, and I'm here to help you reclaim your power, deepen your relationships, and fall unapologetically in love with yourself. So grab your tea, your latte, or your favorite beverage, and let's get started. What if the patterns you keep attracting aren't about bad luck in dating, but are actually unhealed wounds that are quietly repelling the love you desire? What does it really mean to be connected to your power in relationships? And how do we know when we're disconnected from it? Well, my loves, today in Love and Lattes, I am joined by Janaya Ward, a love alchemist and transformation coach who helps high value women break free from repetitive patterns, reconnect to their power, and call in soulmate level love rooted in deep emotional connection. Welcome, Janaya.
Hey Victoria, hello. It's so nice to be here speaking to you.
Me too.
I'm so looking forward to this.
I'm so excited to get into it. I feel like we hit a lot of really powerful hot words,
Yeah.
whether it's soulmate or high value. So to
Mm,
kind of kick things off, I feel like nowadays, the power dynamics in who we are, especially for women, we're very driven forward by our goals, we're ambitious, and then I hear the same thing over and over, like I just can't find the one, or I can't find my partner. So, what are some patterns that you notice, or maybe even wounds that are repelling high value women from finding how that high value love?
so what's come to me straight away, and it's something that I used to do, um, is something that I see in so many women, and that is it it comes from a wound, but where it manifests itself is from the conversations that we hold. The
Mm,
conversations, not only the conversations that we have with ourselves, because we talk to ourselves all the time, is in like in your mind, like you see something, whether it be a pattern, what that you see playing out in same pattern, different face. But also mainly being the conversations that we have with our friends, the conversations that we have about relationships and about men. And albeit they stem from our experiences and our truths, but the part that I think many women miss with that what keeps the pattern going is the energy that we put into it. Um, and a lot of that energy can come from our own traumas and our own pain and our own experiences. And it's in kind of keeping that energy alive in still whether it be that whatever you've been through, whatever you've experienced, if it is still moving you emotionally in some kind of way, it is a pattern that's going to keep that cycle going. As far as there's still, I hate to say repel, I hate even to use the word block, but it is what it is. Like these energies and these, the beliefs and the stories that we still attach to or have some kind of effect on us, and whether it be energetically or whether it just be in belief or how we're living, um, they are determining what we attract. They are determining what we are essentially a matched for. So if we can, for me, I needed to really, rather than just kind of running with the patterns and kind of using them as some kind of like almost like validation, as in validating there's nothing wrong with me, validating that yes, all of the stories are right, all men are XYZ, all men cheat, all men ghost. All I was looking for within those moments when I was having those conversations was validation. I needed to validate and kind of know that it wasn't me, like everybody
mm,
else is experiencing this, so it can't be me, it must be all of the men. So when I decided to kind of like change that lens that I was looking through and like really the courage to look at, well, same face, different pattern. I must be the common denominator. So it's when I decided to start kind of outsourcing my power and looking for that validation and looking within myself. That's one, I guess, the number one pattern that I see women in the cycle that are in is kind of not being willing to look and feel, even because to look at it, you're going to need to feel, to
Mm.
look at the things that you've really, to that you've been through, that you've experienced, all the reasons, what bring up these conversations. You're going to need to really feel some shit. You're going to really need to and own some stuff as well, because that pattern can't keep going if you're not in it.
Oh, that's a really good point. I think, and I agree with you. I think it's so easy to outsource or go looking for proof that, it's like you said, it's not just me. And then I would say something very powerful that I learned even recently was when someone asked me, what is it that you want? Well, what do you think? Or, you know, you need to be honest with
Yeah,
yourself in these
yeah,
situations. And I think when we are, for women, it's like, we start to realize, can we acknowledge, what our experiences were and can we pull lessons from it and then grow from that versus, no, I don't want to sit in my feelings. No, don't
yeah,
let me, you can't heal
yeah.
what you don't feel, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. If you can't look at it, then it isn't going anywhere. It isn't going to shift. And that's like it or not, is the number one way to make that shift. You need to have that awareness for it. In order to know what needs to change, you need to, or in order to change, you need to know what needs to change. So you need to be able to look at it first.
And so for women who are listening and they're like, "Oh gosh, like I haven't really sat with myself for a while." And I think earlier you mentioned when you notice that you are become a denominator, I wouldn't say it's like a bad thing, but it is
No,
important
no,
to recognize that it is, I think it can be very powerful when you realize that this is something you can control because it's you.
it's almost like your North Star. It
Yeah.
is what it's doing. It's almost like your inner compass just directing you as to either where you've self abandoned, where you haven't, stood by your boundaries, where you haven't had your boundaries, where you haven't, been in alignment essentially with what it is that you actually want. And that could be for many reasons. It could be for fear, out of fear that, time's running out. It could be out of lack. It
Mm,
could be out of self abandoning. I need to do more. I need to give more. I need to work harder in order to have love.
mm,
And then when we go to the deeper part of that, it's okay, well, where does that come from?
yeah. I think that one, that last part, I think I hear that a lot. Like I just, if
Mm.
only I did X, Y, and Z more, or maybe if I give more, or maybe if I do more events or do
Yeah.
this thing,
Yeah.
it creates more value. And I think it's like, well, you already are valuable to begin
You
with.
are enough as it is. That's what it is. It's like trying to be chosen, but not first being able to choose yourself fully. As we said, like outsourcing our power, self abandoning, thinking you need to be perfect when perfect doesn't exist. When
Mm,
really the person who you are calling in, who's already calling you in, they want you as you are, just as you are,
yeah.
imperfect.
That's such a I'm so glad you said that, and I absolutely love it. Like your person is ready for you as you show up right now.
Yes, yeah, yeah. There's no fixing. It isn't a fixing thing. It isn't that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that you are focused. Your lens is focused. It's got a different perspective where you believe it needs to be harder in order for you to receive and
Hmm.
to be worthy essentially of that love. It needs to be hard. It needs to come through hard work. It needs to come through effort.
Mm. And were you saying earlier these efforts, this hardship that we put, like the pressure that's coming from experiences and
Mm.
even like just things that we've seen, whether it's social media or upbringing, would you agree with that?
I absolutely, especially our upbringing. Um, as in what we believe, because we make it, I really do believe that we make a decision from when we're young through our experiences, how we see our adults, whether it be our parents, caregivers, how they navigate relationships. In order to have this is what you need to do. In order for, whether it be for the woman to be happy or for the man to be happy, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to flow.
Mm.
And we make decisions, and some of those decisions come off the back of traumas, things that we saw. Sometimes we're brought up and the environment is chaos, so chaos starts to feel familiar as you grow up, and you don't realize that you've got an attachment to that chaos. And if that's not seen, or it's not evident, or it's not familiar to you, then something must be wrong, or I need to be cautious, or it's not safe. So
Mm.
that's why we end up in that cycle and that loop of, when you hear of women and they find that he's too good, he's too nice, he's too boring, and
Yes,
sometimes it's
the
actually,
boring.
yeah, he's too boring, he's not enough for me. We're chasing the excitement, we're chasing the thrill, so the
Mm.
connection part gets missed, and we mistake chemistry for the connection. So a lot of it is, as I said, it depends on, a lot of it is determined by how we see relationship, is determined by what we saw growing up.
Yeah. And what would you recommend? Because I think at a young age, what we see, what we experience, even if you were dating young or what you saw in your guardians, and then there's social media. But then like even now, and I do this I probably do this every couple weeks, but I do think it's important for us to kind of reflect our values or, what is it, what does it mean to be in a relationship or what are my expectations and
Yeah,
standards? And am I carrying that as
yeah,
well?
yeah,
And the willingness to, I learned it, I think a year or two ago when I put the intention out there that I was finally ready to hold the space and capacity because of the way I met myself.
yeah,
And that's where my relationships were amazing, or my dating was like just so much more fun. And I no longer felt like I was disconnecting just dating to date. I had
yeah,
an intention. And I think that
yeah.
is very important for anyone getting back out there.
Yeah, I agree. And that was exactly me. I was 10 years single. I was 10 years single. I thought I was intentionally dating because I knew for a very long time I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to create a unit. So I thought I was in dating intentionally. But back to what you were saying about the values, um, there for a very long time, probably the majority of that 10 years, I didn't even include values with it. I mean, I was in my 20s then anyway, but I didn't really include values as a thing. I didn't even realize the importance of it. So I thought I had everything together. I thought, I've created a nice life, I've got a good job, I've got the success, I've got everything but that one thing, which was the love. It just didn't click. And after a while, I'd realized, like I mentioned earlier, like the self-abandoning, where I wasn't putting myself first and I was trying to pour everything in to try and mold myself and be this perfect woman. Um, and I realized I was meeting guys who initially they lived up to the idea of what I had in my head, of what I wanted, which was just the surface.
Mm.
So when they fell short of that, or when they disappointed me in other areas, I realized, hold on a minute, um, communication, that wasn't in alignment, um, just the respect, um, how much I felt like I needed to do how much of myself I needed to do. Um, and this essentially, I guess, to try and fix. I was a fixer. I was that kind of woman that felt like, okay, I need to fix, because I kind of come from a background of you stay, you work it out, you put up with it, you do the thing, you keep trying, but you stay. Um, and I wasn't even I wasn't even clear on what my values were. I wasn't even clear on what was important to me in a relationship. But now, nearly 13 years into my relationship, I'm super clear on what my boundaries are. I'm super clear on what my values are, and especially when it comes to, communication and love, and even how I don't want to say expect my partner to show up, but how I like my partner to receive me, how I like to receive him, how we show up for each other. And I didn't waver on that. So it was almost a no brainer. When I looked back, or when I look back at all the relationships that didn't work, it's like, oh my gosh, it makes sense. Like, you were going for the surface, you were going for the idea of what you wanted him to be, but he wasn't that. So I'd totally overlooked my boundaries. I that like wavered on all of them. I didn't hold my yeses or hold my no's. It didn't mean anything. As soon as he came in, it was like, okay, everything changes. What should we do? Rather than what do I want to do? What matters to
Mhm.
me? Um, Very much so. Does he like me? What do I need to do so he can like me? Rather than Janaya, but do you even like him? Like, is
Mhm.
this really so? Rather than molding, it was like, okay, like you said, intentional. Intentional means like a filter. I've got a filter now. When if you're dating, before I got with my partner, before I found my partner, it was like, as I said, not will he like me? This is the filter. You either align with it or you don't. Do our values match? If they don't, be willing to be the one who got away. That's what I
Mm.
stood by, and it worked.
I love that, and I completely agree. And for those who are listening, if, I know we're using the word values and filters. When you say values, are those like what you're looking for? Can you share a little bit about that so our listeners can be like, okay, I need to start identifying what my values
So
are.
it's what was important to me.
Mhm.
What is important to me? I need somebody who I can communicate with as an adult. I need somebody who is able to have the difficult conversations and maybe hear something that doesn't feel too good, but is not going to um, it's fine to get triggered, but are you willing to grow and you willing to learn from it? So is somebody who is on that equal plane with me, somebody who can communicate openly, can communicate their feelings openly, who more importantly, I can feel safe to
Yeah.
communicate. I'm a hormonal woman. Like it's when it comes to that time of the month, like my emotions, they do go like this sometimes. Like I know how to get control of them, but I need somebody who can understand that, who can understand me, and can still feel, safe and grounded enough to hold me. So these kind of things are important. I need somebody who, if they said they're going to show up, you're going to show up. I need somebody who's not going to bullshit me, somebody who is not going to play a game. Like, it became very, when I like made myself really aware of it and became really intentional, it became really important where I was overlooking red flags.
Mm.
The red flags were the things that actually, for me, I felt it initially, and I realized, okay, that goes against my values. That's not even, we're not in alignment. Um, so yeah, communication, um, honesty, authenticity, um, somebody who wasn't ego led, somebody who wanted me for me,
Mm.
and it wasn't just the mold or the perfection or the anything else. So family values, really important to me as well. How you are within your family unit that already exists, your parents, whether it be your siblings, that's very important, because that's very important to me. Not even to It's important to me, but it's important for somebody who comes into my family, because that's how we are as a structure and that's how we are as a unit. So if there's a misalignment there, then I know that essentially it wouldn't work. So it's what is important to you, what is really important to you, without you abandoning yourself in order to keep the person or to keep the love alive.
Yeah. I hear you, and I'm so glad we got into that. And it reminds me of, for me, and I think this is pretty common for women too. Like we want to be the ones who fix it, right? Like you said,
Yeah,
you mentioned
yeah,
like right coming in a from experience of like, no, we stay and figure this out. My in my first marriage, we ended up divorcing, but in our we would have these conversations and we joked like we don't do divorce in this family. And
yeah,
we did.
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
it was the right thing to do when you
yeah,
realize these values are no longer aligned, when you realize
yeah,
for me it was I'm a nurturer. Like I'm because I came up with lots in my upbringing, I was the glue. I kept everybody together and then
mm,
it was my job to fix it and make
ah,
sure everybody was happy, but I abandoned myself
yes,
because that's
yeah,
not something I was aware that was actually important. So now and I think a lot of women do this as people pleasers. They're like, well, I have to have my
yeah,
shit together and I'm
yeah,
gonna make sure everyone around me is happy so I can seem worthy of having my shit together.
yeah, yeah,
And then I think one of the most challenging things women experience is when you do get back out there and you are experiencing dating, it's recognizing like, actually, this isn't aligned and learning how to walk away so you can keep your
mhm.
power.
Yeah. It's often because there's something running in the background. Because the woman who's confident, the woman who's got her clarity, the woman who knows, the woman who chooses herself, who has no shadow of a doubt that there is a person for her, he's out there and he's going to find her, or they're going to find each other and they're going to connect. There is no shadow of a doubt. But sorry, when she has no shadow of a doubt that he's on his way, she there is no energy of lack. There is no time. There's no worry of time running out
Yeah.
because
Oh,
that's what we're often operating from is the lack. Like, oh my gosh, I need to do, and that's when we go. That's when we revert to rather than being in the feminine, receiving, knowing, trusting, being guided. We resort to our masculine, which tells us you need to do something because time's running out. And I've just seen
mhm.
my friend over there get married. I've just seen that happening over there. Um, and then that spirals on to, okay, there must be something wrong with me. What do I need to
Yeah.
fix? Do I need to put on some weight? Do I need to lose some weight? Do I need to look more prettier? Do I need to do all the different things rather than how about we just love, appreciate, and know that you are enough just as you are? And it sounds so easy. It's easier said than done, but
Hmm.
I promise it is what literally I had that moment. It was like a breakthrough moment, but it wasn't intentional at the time. It was almost just like, fuck it. I am done trying. I am done trying to, it was like a really big realization for me because it's like, oh my gosh, like Janaya, you've forgotten yourself.
Hmm.
You're giving so much of your power away and you're trying to mold. I almost like would keep picturing 12-year-old Janaya
Hmm.
that hadn't fully known how to accept and love herself, who wasn't really taught those strong boundaries, who wasn't taught self-love, what it really meant and looked like. So when I kept visioning, oh my gosh, that's who I'm abandoning. Like I'm actually letting her know she's not enough. She's not worthy and she still needs to do more. And it was like, oh my gosh. So it was like fuck it. I was like a big fuck it. It was like fuck it. If you don't like me as I am, then there's someone else that would. You're doing me a favor.
Yes. Yes, like it's if you can't meet me here, and I would say that I'm like I want to be with someone who meets me where I am or just a further along the way to encourage and bring that confidence out of me that I have worked on
Yeah,
myself. But if you pull me back, that does not work. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Because
go ahead.
no, I was going to say because if it's not this, then it's something better. That's all. That is the only meaning I can make out of this ghosting or this thing going wrong or this one who I really want who doesn't really want me. It must be something better, and
Yeah.
that can be hard to hold on to. I really do get that it's hard to hold, especially when there is somebody that you want who doesn't want you in the same way. But it's the belief and the knowing that there is. He's there.
We'll be back after a quick break.
I've been thinking a lot about patterns lately, especially the ones that show up in our relationships. For a long time, mine looked like overgiving, people pleasing, and convincing myself that if I shrink myself down just a little bit smaller, I would be enough. But knowing a pattern and actually breaking it are two very different things. And trying to untangle that alone can feel overwhelming. That's where therapy can help. Having outside support can help you recognize your patterns without judgment and make choices that actually support you. And that's why I'm grateful for today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes therapy more accessible by connecting you with a licensed therapist online so you can get the right support in a way that fits your life and your schedule. Love and Latte listeners can get 10% off their first month of therapy by going to betterhelp.com/love and lattes or by clicking the link in today's episode description. Breaking cycles isn't about fixing yourself, it's about learning to love yourself differently. I think some of my favorite things that I've heard is, the rejection is redirection.
Yeah,
And like you said, if not this, then something better.
yeah.
And I went through a breakup a couple months ago, and I remember thinking, like, why would I be made with such a big heart if not
Mm,
someone out there to meet me with that same
exactly.
level of love?
Yeah.
And I do think it's, you've said so many great things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just like want to keep like going and going. But yeah, I think it is easy. It's a very big pivotal moment when we finally when it just clicks, like you said, like when you had your fuck it moment.
Yeah.
My moment in my previous marriage was when I realized I was like, wait a minute, I got me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm whole
Yeah.
on my own outside of this relationship. And I think when you talked about the timeline, we put so much pressure. Like I'm in my, lower 30s, but when I was younger, I was really pushing against the clock. Like I gotta get married, I gotta have kids, I gotta
Mm,
have my life
mm,
together, or I'm failing. When the reality is like I've done so well just as I am, and I'm just as worthy as my friends who are married, who do have houses, who do have
mhm.
kids, and that worked for them. And I am working, for myself. Like I'm working on just as good as a timeline as everybody else is.
Mhm. I really believe that time. I like to almost erase a timeline
Hmm.
because I waited for that entire. I wasn't dating for 10 years, like just like having fun. And
Wild.
I was dating into. I knew I wanted to be a mum from very young. I knew the unit that I wanted to create. And that 10 years was hard. That 10 years was hard. So why I know almost timelines do not exist because everything is existing all at the same time. I went from, and this is how I knew my superpower as well. And this is how I knew when I reflect back how much it was like almost like embarrassing when I think back how much I was trying, like how much I'd abandoned myself for that entire 10 years. Obviously, it was like a complete blessing because there was so much wisdom and so much self love that I'd cultivated within that time. But I met my partner after I had that fuck it moment. I met my partner within 6 weeks. Um, within I met him in 6 weeks at a school at the last place that I thought ever that I would ever meet because I was like the guy who I'm looking for. You've got to remember I said you've got a lens that which you keep. So when you keep, you decide you're only looking through this lens. This is only the thing for me. That's all you're going to see. So if you keep that energy, as I said, the conversations, and all based around men ain't shit, all men ghost, all men cheat. There's no more. That's the lens. That becomes your lens. So when I just let go of the lens, and I went into start this new job, last place. So I decided this kind of guy that I want does not work at a school. So I'm not even looking. There's no nothing. within 6 weeks, we started to talk. Um, sorry, we were friends first because I still wasn't looking at all. And then after the time that started to build up, after I started in January, we got together, started to talk a little bit in uh August. By November, it was kind of official. By February, we were pregnant.
Oh.
Like the shock, total shock, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is someone who I've been with for like 3 months.
Hmm.
We had our first baby in October of that same year. um February, we were pregnant again, and we had our second baby. Our first baby was 4 months old, and we were pregnant a second time. We had our second baby in November of 2015. Our second baby was 18 months old, and we were pregnant for the third time, um, with our third child. So I was like, oh my gosh, I had 3 kids under 3, um, and that all happened within like 2.5 years. So I'm like, fuck the timeline. The timeline doesn't you can decide, or it's all about your energy and how soon you can match your energy, become a match for this thing. And it's essentially coming a match for your own values, who you say, or what you say is important to you, um, who you, like you said, getting clear on who you want to call in, who is your, not ego, not because of the gram, not because it will look good, not because, but genuine soul calling, true soul led love.
Mm.
When you become a match for that, it doesn't take years, it doesn't have to take months. It happens as quick as your energy calibrates to it. Now, here we are, 13 years later, that I would never have thought in a million years that it would have happened just like that. Like it felt just like that. And I know it was me deciding, one, I'm going to be the one willing to be the one who got away, because I said, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. And two, whatever, like he's there and I'm open to receive. I'm not looking for him. I'm not searching for him. I'm not molding myself. I'm not trying to be who I think a man wants me to be.
Yeah.
And it arrived. To take the timeline off. Take the timeline completely off the table, because you will be completely shocked out of your system. And it happens with a decision.
Yeah. And I love that. I feel that. And you know it's a good thing when it happens so easily.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
what exactly.
And
Yeah,
that's when it can be just so like, whoa, this is actually great. And all it
yeah,
took was for you to be honest and to, like you said, you're like, actually, no, I'm just on time.
yes,
And
yeah.
so, Janaya, this has been such a great conversation. I could keep going
I
forever.
know, Victoria. I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
I'm so glad you're here. And thank you so much for diving deep into this. I love that you led this with a conversation where it almost feels like you have to become connected and in tuned with your own soul and like connecting to your passions, reconnecting with who you are. And that will attract and manifest and pull in everything that you want. As long as we're willing to do like a little bit of that hard stuff, sit in your
Yeah,
shit kind of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. It's
so,
remembering. That's
yeah,
all it is. It's remembering. It's because she's already in there. It's
yeah,
just remembering and bringing her to the surface.
amazing. Thank you so much for being on Love and Lattes, Janae.
Thank you, Victoria. It was lovely.
And for everyone else, thank you so much for tuning into all the gold that Janaea has shared with us. Definitely give us a lot of love, and we'll see you in the next episode.